Hello and welcome to the Queber channel. I am Jason, your host. You probably notice my voice is fucked, but I wanted to document this because I haven't really done this before. As some of you know, I suffer from a form of GERD, which is like gastro something reflux. It's a bit like a very horrible version of acid indigestion. It's when your muscle here between your stomach and your throat weakens for different reasons, and the acid can go up into your throat. This is very dangerous, and it can aspirate into your lungs and it can kill you. So it's not a good thing. Mine is caused because in 2018 I was diagnosed with bowel cancer, and they removed 40% of my colon, my upper colon gastric system, which means food, the long-term side effects of it was, oh God, I need to have a little bit of this. It means that food stays in my stomach longer because the parts of my gastric system that would normally deal with certain foods isn't there anymore, and so it's slower for it to go through. And that means your stomach thinks, hey, it's slow, so it needs more acid. So you have more acid in your stomach than normal over time. This weakens the muscle, and therefore the acid can breach into your stomach, into your throat, and from there go to bad places. Now, I have Huel as my breakfast to settle my stomach and that, and normally everything's okay. It's been quite a while since I've had an attack, but today I did a stupid thing, which was a completely normal thing. I was wrapping up a parcel to go, because I was selling a couple of items around the house, and well, I was sitting here. This wasn't because I had eaten something wrong or anything, because that muscle is always going to be weakened now, because even when I eat normal stuff, even when I eat good stuff for me, there's more acid. There's always going to be more acid. So I was doing here, and I put it down there, and I bent over, didn't think, put pressure on my stomach when you bend over, and came back to sit like this. I was sitting right here. And then all of a sudden, I thought I was going to burp. But when I say that, I burp. Basically, the acid in the stomach creates more gas, so you burp more often. My apology. And so, it wasn't a burp. It was not a burp. It was acid wanting to go up my throat. And when I burped, it went straight up into my upper throat and started to go down into my lungs. That would have been a bad thing. That's called aspiration, and it could have ended up with me in hospital or choking to death. Sorry, but that's the simple fact of that situation can happen. So the thing is, this doesn't panic me in any way, shape or form, doesn't cause anxiety. Why? It did at the start before we knew what it was, which happened so many times now that I know what to do. Basically, when it happens, the first thing you do is you stop breathing. The one thing you do not want to do is to take another breath, because you don't want to take what's in your throat down into your lungs. So you stop breathing instantly, and you have to. And then, of course, your body's like panicking because it's trying to physically panic, but autistic here, willpower, trying to thingy, and basically now I've got a coping strategy. I can deal with it. So I knew exactly what to do at that point in time. First thing to do, even though it's horrible, swallow. Try and get whatever's into the throat to start going back down where it's supposed to be. Then I took a tiny little sip of water, a very tiny sip, and just swallowed that to try and thingy. My throat felt like it was completely on fire and that, but the physical actions of my throat was working and it went back down. At this point in time, I took a very tiny breath through my nose, not my throat. Because if you take a breath through your throat, you're going past all the acidy, crappy stuff, and therefore anything you take into your lungs is going to make you want to cough, and that's the worst thing you want to do. You don't want to, you've got to be in control in this situation. So, I took a tiny drink of water, then I started breathing very, 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 very controlled, tiny breaths through my nose, and slowly recovered from it over the next 10 minutes. To start with, my thingy didn't even want to allow me to breathe. It was not good. But I'm used to it. Sadly, you don't want to get used to something like this, but I am. And I've got coping strategies and I know exactly what to do. But for the next 3 or 4 hours, my throat is going to feel like absolute shit. And because the thing is, it's going to be a bit inflamed, a bit, as you can tell. But I wanted to document this. I wanted to tell you what it's like because I haven't ever really done that. I've told you it's a bad thing, but I've never shown you what's happened like within 5-10 minutes of it happening. At that point in time, I went downstairs and I got some Gaviscon and 2K, just a spoon of Gaviscon, the antacid stuff, the liquid, because that will coat the throat and coat down into the stomach and help ease the acid. And so I'm here. My breathing still feels a little bit off, but nothing major. Like I said, once I develop a coping strategy for a situation, the reason I was so freaked out at the end of 2021 when it happened, first of all, and I basically stopped eating and everything and I lost so much weight, was because I thought it was throat cancer. I thought it was fucking thyroid cancer. I thought that before we found out it was just a long-term byproduct of having a massive amount of my gastric system removed, which meant my acid production in my stomach would always be higher because my body naturally thought that it was in a situation where it needed to digest more food. Now you may wonder why I am on GERD medications, which basically what they do is proton pump inhibitor. Basically, they inhibit the acid production cells in your stomach so you don't create as much acid. Well, we tried them, and that almost killed me. Yeah, this is an ongoing thing, isn't it? Because basically, because my gastric system is 40% smaller, my body absorbs a lot less actual goodness, potassium and stuff like that, the stuff that keeps your body going, potassium, salt, minerals and that. So the problem is I have to make sure I eat more than normal just to keep myself stable. I mean, I'm carrying a lot of weight at the moment, but I'm not allowed to diet because if anything happens, let's say a really bad GERD attack happened and I couldn't eat for a week, I would lose a massive amount of weight and really quickly. I'm always fighting against that. So for example, most people need 2,200, 2,300 calories as an adult to just be stable. I need to have about 3,200 calories for me to get the same goodness, the same levels into my body. So I can't let myself ever lose weight, unfortunately, even though I'd love to. So taking these these pills that were given out caused my body to create less acid, which in short term was wonderful. But very quickly, because there was less acid in my stomach, which meant less pre-digestion of food, meant I was getting even less of potassium and stuff like that in my actual body, because my gastric system couldn't process it because it wasn't being thinking. So I had to stop that pretty instantly because it was deadly to me. Because if you have low potassium, then your heart, your muscles in your body stop working, and your heart is one of those muscles. It's a bad thing. So I can't be on the drugs that would stop it. So I have to balance it all the time, and not do stupid things like bend over and then feel like I have to burp. Anyway, I wanted to let you know what happened. Don't worry about me. I'm okay. This sounds worse than it is. This is just the byproduct of an attack like this. But I always say to you, if I don't eat the right things, if I try to eat things that won't fit me, or if things like that, then it's a bad thing. But I never really explain the it's a bad thing. So now you know why it's a bad thing. Then I have to make sure that, I mean, the good thing is this wasn't to do with food. This was to do with the action of my body and not realizing that I'd put pressure on my stomach by leaning over. So yeah, bye-bye for now.